Okay, guys, this is for the study guide for 4th grade on, let me zoom it in there, for 4th grade on 3/21, March 31st. And starting off, we are looking at a question on perpendicular lines. As you can see, I've drawn a pair of perpendicular lines. I also talked to the kids about drawing a pair of parallel lines. We are practicing the difference between those set of lines, and I asked them to write the definitions of both of those. The next question is talking about decomposing fractions. We write the definition of decompose as break down. This fraction was 75 over 100, and it asked them to write it in two different ways. I gave them the example of 70 plus 5, or 70 100ths plus 5 100ths equals 75 hundredths, as well as 25 over 100 plus 50 over 100 would equal. If you can see on the board, another example I was just giving them was 20 or 30 50ths, 20 over a 50 plus 10 over 50. Those are just some examples. Also, if you mentioned that whenever we talked about decomposing back in October, I talked about how decomposing, we were talking about deer season and how whenever a deer decomposes, it breaks down. Just comparing the numbers, greater than, less than, or equal to. Number 7 is about factor pairs. We wrote down that factor pairs are pairs of numbers that multiply together to get a product. This was the number 16. So 1 and 16, 2 and 8, and 4 and 4. Division. I guess the biggest problem with division is whenever we have a quotient or answer that has a 0 in the answer, they forget to put that 0 up there. They kind of just want to skip it. If, like, say for example, 9 would not go into 5, they want to skip putting that 0 up there. They also sometimes forget, they want to put the 5 up here, that it is a remainder. This question was simply, which is what we're working on this week, is conversions of measure, which if you're doing IXL, you can do 4th grade, what is that, in IXL, which would be Z if you go on into 5th grade, but 3 feet equals 1 yard, which we've had this one here before, not the exact one, but where we have 3 steps, and the first one would be to pick a inside or outside number line. I'm going to try to pull it in there. That meaning the zeros on the inside on this number line, the zeros on the outside on the number line there. I told them I picked the outside because this ray was closest to the bottom over here, so I picked the 0 on the outside. The next step would be to find the measures and follow the number line. So we found 15, follow the outside number line around to 105, and then subtract those measures. So that was 105 minus 15 equaled 90. Subtracting with regrouping, just remembering to borrow. This next one down here is one where they tell them that that line DCB is equal to 180. So what we talked about is that we knew two of the angles. That was the 75 and 36. So we would have added those two together to get 111, and then we would subtract that total from what our total that we knew, which was 180. So 180 minus 111 gives us 69, which is that leftover value. This next question is a question where they asked, or they gave us a total or a set of numbers, 147. It was talking about how much, is it more or less than or fewer than a certain amount. This one happened to be 600, and this one was more than. Greater than or less than in comparing fractions. This one, they do not have the same denominator, so either you have to make them have the same denominator, or we can do the little trick that I've taught them, is where you can multiply up or diagonally, and that would be 12. 12 times 1 is 12. 10 times 1 is 10, and then you would compare those two numbers up top, and 10 is less than 12. Down here on the bottom, this question was saying that a mom had given their child or their children $2.25 to spend on ice cream. Each child, there were 4 children, and they had $15. How much was left? So what we did was we multiplied times 4. We talked about how when multiplying with decimals, you multiply normal without messing with that decimal first. So $2.25 times 4 gives us 900. After we're finished, we count how many decimal places we have. 1, 2. Then we move that decimal over. 1, 2, giving us $9. The next step would be to take $15 that we had, subtract the $9, giving us $6 left. On this one, which if you'll notice up here, I have some extra test points. If you're listening and you want to add this to your test on Thursday, that would be ray, AB, line, MO, and line segment, CA. If these are included on your test, I will give you some extra points. Remember, that's a secret. Only for the friends that are watching my videos. Okay, so number 4. To show or name an angle, the letter must be in the middle. So here is the angle that was given. So it's just asking you to, if you understand how to name an angle. So this one right here, here's the angle. So we're naming angle B because that angle is there in the middle. So B would be that correct angle. This one we actually talked about last week whenever we were just doing some sets on the board, and we talked quite a bit about this one. This is a line plot, and the set is samples of leaves. So the X's are actually the leaves. The numbers are the measurements. So those are in inches. And it asks them which or what are the 4 shortest leaves measurements lined up end to end. So what you would do is you would take, since this is the shortest leaf, 1 inch, you would take all 4 of those and line them up end to end and measure them, which 1 inch would make it 4 inches. What they were wanting to do is they were wanting to take, since there's only 1 there and there's 2 there, they were wanting to try to add 4.5, 3.5, and then maybe one of this one right here. And they were wanting to try to add those small X columns together. That's not what you would do because those are not the smallest measurements. The smallest measurement is 1 that has leaves in it, and there's 4 of them there, so that would be 4 inches. And then on the last page, another matrix problem. That would be 37 times 18. So if you have any questions, be sure to have your child ask me. Hope you have a great rest of the week.